Hello students, in today's video we will be discussing sulfur and its compounds. Sulfur has atomic number 16 and its outermost configuration is 3s2 3p4. Sulfur exists in two allotropic forms. What do you mean by allotropy? That is the phenomena where the same element exists in two different forms, where the physical properties will be different but the chemical properties will be same. So sulfur exists basically in two allotropic forms, rhombic sulfur, which we also call as alpha sulfur, and monoclinic sulfur, which we also call as beta sulfur. Now what are the characteristics of these two allotropes? How do they differ from each other? Here are the points. Rhombic sulfur is yellow in color with melting point 385.8 Kelvin. On the other hand, monoclinic sulfur, its melting point is 393 Kelvin. Although monoclinic sulfur is also yellow in color. Now rhombic sulfur is formed on evaporating the solution of rolled sulfur in carbon dioxide, whereas monoclinic sulfur is prepared by melting rhombic sulfur and then cooling till the crust is formed. Then two holes are made in the crust and remaining liquid is poured out. On removing crust, colorless needle-shaped crystals of beta sulfur are formed. Next is rhombic sulfur is insoluble in water but it is readily soluble in carbon disulfide. It dissolves to some extent in benzene, ether and alcohol. It is stable below 369 Kelvin and it is stable above 369 Kelvin. This is the main difference between rhombic sulfur and monoclinic sulfur. We have to remember this temperature, that above 369 monoclinic sulfur or beta form is stable and below 369 Kelvin rhombic sulfur or alpha sulfur form is stable. So alpha sulfur, when it is heated above 369 Kelvin, it forms beta sulfur, and beta sulfur when it is cooled below 369 Kelvin, it forms alpha sulfur. But at exact 369 Kelvin, both forms are stable. And this temperature is called as transition temperature. Now there is very easy trick to remember this 369 temperature. It's just a table of 3. It is a multiple of 3. This is how you can remember the temperature 369, which we call as transition temperature. Whether it is rhombic sulfur or whether it is monoclinic sulfur, both have S8 molecules. And these S8 molecules are packed to give different crystals. The most common is in the S8 ring in both the forms. It is picked structure and it has a crown structure, or it has a crown shape. The bond angle being 107 degree. But there are several other modifications of sulfur containing 6 to 20 sulfur atoms per ring. Now these have been synthesized in last 2 decades. Like in S6, this is S6 and this was for S8. In S6, it exists in chair form, where 6 atoms of sulfur, they are arranged in such a way that it appears like a chair. But if we look at elevated temperature, sulfur exists as S2 and this has totally different characteristic from S8. Here we are talking about the elevated temperature. So at elevated temperature, sulfur exists in vapor state and that too diatomic state, S2. So in vapor state, sulfur molecule exists as S2 and it is paramagnetic in nature. This paramagnetic nature can be attributed to presence of 2 unpaired electron in antibonding pi star molecular orbital. And this is just like oxygen. This is important reasoning question that why S2 is paramagnetic. It is repeated many times in board exam. As we know, we have to discuss some compounds of sulfur also. So we will be discussing sulfur dioxide SO2. How can we prepare SO2? Sulfur dioxide is formed together with little bit of sulfur trioxide when sulfur is burnt in air or oxygen. On the other hand, in the lab, it is readily generated by treating a sulfite ion with dilute sulfuric acid. Industrially, it is prepared as a byproduct by roasting of the sulfide ore. This process is called as roasting process, where the metal sulfides, they are converted to metal oxides and SO2 is obtained as a byproduct. What are the properties of sulfur dioxide? It is a colorless gas, has a very characteristic pungent smell. It is highly soluble in water, and when it is dissolved in water, it gives sulfurous acid. Now in H2SO3, sulfur is in +6 oxidation state. Sorry, it is in +4 oxidation state. SO2 is called as anhydrous of sulfurous acid, that is H2SO3. Now here in sulfur, it is in +4 oxidation state. It can easily get oxidized to next state, that is +6, and therefore sulfurous acid can act as a reducing agent. Sulfur dioxide, when dissolved in water, forms sulfurous acid. So this proves the acidic nature of sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is acidic in nature. This is proved by this reaction. We can have two more reactions to prove acidic nature of sulfur dioxide. Acids, when treated with base, they give salt and water. So when SO2 is treated with base like sodium hydroxide, it will give Na2SO3, salt and water. Now when we pass excess sulfur dioxide through this solution, sodium hydrogen sulfate is obtained, and these two reactions, they are also used as test for sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide reacts with chlorine to give sulfuryl chloride, and this reaction takes place in presence of charcoal. Sulfur dioxide is oxidized to sulfur trioxide by treating with oxygen in presence of vanadium pentoxide as a catalyst. Now this SO3, this is used for preparation of H2SO4, and therefore SO3, it is called as anhydrous of H2SO4. SO3 was anhydrous of H2SO3. Further two reaction proves the reducing nature of sulfur dioxide. Now SO2 act as a reducing agent. Why? Because in sulfur dioxide, sulfur is in +4 oxidation state. So it can easily get oxidized to its next higher oxidation state, which is a stable state of sulfur +6, and therefore it acts as a reducing nature. For example, in the first one, it converts Fe3 plus ion to Fe2 plus, and in the second one, it will convert MnO4 minus to Mn2 plus. In the first reaction, it is very clear that it reduces Fe3 plus to Fe2 plus, and in the second one, manganese is in +7 oxidation state, it gets converted to 2 plus oxidation state. So these two reactions prove the reducing nature of sulfur dioxide. These two reactions, they can be also used for test of SO2. If we look at the structure of SO2, it has a bend shape to avoid the lone pair and bond pair repulsion. So it's a resonating structure for 2 lone pairs on one oxygen atom, 3 lone pairs on another oxygen atom, and 1 lone pair on sulfur atom. So to avoid the bond pair and lone pair repulsion, sulfur dioxide shows a bend shape we can show the canonical structure. Sulfur dioxide can be used in refining and petroleum sugar. It is used as a bleaching wool, as an anti-chlor, disinfectant. It is also used as preservative. It is also used in the manufacture of many chemicals like sulfuric acid, sodium hydrogen sulfide, calcium hydrogen sulfide, etc. Now here I want to explain the role of sulfur dioxide as a bleaching agent. Sulfur dioxide, since it's a reducing agent, it will bleach the substance by the reduction process. But now, when this colorless substance, it comes in contact with atmospheric oxygen, then again the oxidation will occur, the substance will become colored again. And therefore we say the bleaching action of sulfur dioxide is a temporary process. This is important question. Let us have a look at the reaction for this. Sulfur dioxide will get converted to H2SO4 reduction process and it will form 2H. This 2H, when it comes in contact with colored substance, it will convert them into colorless. Now since the presence of 2H, which is a reduction process, it can get oxidized again, and therefore bleaching action of SO2 is a temporary process. Another interesting thing related to sulfur is we will discuss its oxoacid. Now what is the meaning of oxoacid? When any element is doubly bonded with oxygen and OH, where H is ionizable, H can be released, that we will call as oxoacid. And the other valences will be filled by hydrogen. Sulfur forms many types of oxoacid. Remember, this is the basic structure of any oxoacid. E stands for the element of which we are discussing oxoacid. That element should be doubly bonded to O and OH. This H is ionizable and that is responsible for basicity. Now what is basicity? It is the number of hydrogen ion released. If one hydrogen ion is released, basicity will be equal to 1. So we'll begin with the first one. The first oxoacid is H2SO3. Just now I have told you that H2SO3 sulfurous acid, it is in +4 oxidation state and therefore it is good reducing agent. Okay, let us draw its structure. First of all, I will draw the basic one, the one trick I have told you. Sulfur doubly bonded with oxygen, OH. Now out of H2SO3, 1 and 2, these two oxygen are already counted. 1 hydrogen is already counted and therefore the remaining is OH and there will be one lone pair left out on it. So this is the structure of H2SO3. The next is H2SO4, sulfuric acid. Again, I will draw the basic structure. Sulfur doubly bonded with oxygen, OH. Now out of 2 hydrogen, 1 have been counted. Out of 4 oxygen, 2 have been counted. Now 2 oxygen and 1 hydrogen is left out. So obviously one will be present as OH and another will be double bond O. If I talk about the basicity, here only one ionizable, here 2 ionizable hydrogen atoms are there and therefore basicity will be equal to 2. Now coming to the next one, H2S2O6. Now when we draw the structure of H2S2O6, there are 2 sulfur atoms, both being oxoacids, will be linked with H double bond O, OH and OH. The name of this acid is peroxo disulfuric acid. That means 2 moles of sulfuric acid, they are joined together by peroxide linkage. That's why the name is peroxo. So there is a peroxide linkage in them. Now we will satisfy the remaining things. Let us cross check the structure. 2 hydrogen. So 2 hydrogen is there. 2 sulfur and oxygen. Sorry, this is not 6. This will be 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, 8 oxygen atom. That means the structure is correct. Actually, drawing the structures of oxo acid, it is an important question. And 2 mark structures are asked. That is 2 structures, 1 each. 1 mark for each structure is asked. The last oxo acid is pyrosulfuric acid. The difference between these two structures is only one. Here there is a peroxide linkage and in the second structure it is absent. Otherwise the whole structure is the same as it is. Pyrosulfuric acid is commonly called as oleum. Remember, oxo acid, drawing its structure or writing its structure, you must know it because a sure question will be there on this. So this whole topic is a sure question. The next compound of sulfur that we are going to discuss is known as king of chemicals, and that is sulfuric acid. So how it is prepared? It is prepared by a process called as contact process. In the first process, it is the burning of sulfur directly in the atmosphere, or SO2 is obtained by using sulfide ores by the roasting process. In the second step, there is a conversion of SO2 to SO3 by the reaction with oxygen in presence of catalyst vanadium pentoxide. The enthalpy of the reaction is minus 196.6 kilojoule mole inverse, indicating it is highly exothermic process. As well as this is a reversible reaction, and therefore this step becomes important one, and it is favored by low temperature, high pressure. By following these two conditions, we can proceed the reaction in forward direction. This is obviously in accordance with Le Chatelier principle. Maintaining these two conditions will increase the amount of H2SO4. Now this sulfur trioxide obtained is treated with 98% H2SO4. Actually, sulfur trioxide is absorbed in concentrated H2SO4 to produce oleum. Just now we have discussed oleum, pyrosulfuric acid. Now this oleum is diluted to give sulfuric acid. The sulfuric acid obtained by contact process is 96 to 98% pure. And therefore this process is an important one. So what are the properties of sulfuric acid? It is colorless, dense, oily liquid. All of you must handle H2SO4 in the lab. It dissolves in water with evolution of large quantity of heat, and therefore while diluting we must add acid to water and not water to acid. If we add water to acid, being highly exothermic process, the container may break, there will be local excessive heating, and the splashes of acid will be there on the person's body. And therefore while diluting acid, we should add acid to water. It's a very low volatile one. We know sulfuric acid shows many of reactions. The chemical reactions of sulfuric acid are basically due to these factors: low volatility, ability to act as an oxidizing agent, strong affinity for water, and strongly acidic character. We'll be discussing all these in detail. So all these 4 factors, these are responsible for chemical reaction of H2SO4. Now this is your 2 mark question. Okay, so first of all here I am going to explain why sulfuric acid is strongly acidic in nature. When sulfuric acid is diluted, it will result in the formation of hydronium ion and HSO4 minus. HSO4 minus is a very strong conjugate base. Sorry, it's a weak conjugate base. Ka for this process is very large. it is even greater than 10. Now, if we are carrying out the further dilution, hydrogen sulfide when it is diluted, now it will result in the formation of hydronium ion and sulfate ion. But Ka, for this, the dissociation constant is comparatively very less, 1.2 into 10 to power minus 2. So Ka1 is very great or very high as compared to Ka2. We know the value of Ka is directly proportional to acidic character. Larger the value of Ka, stronger will be the acid, and Ka is very large in the first step, indicating the strong acidic nature, indicating the strong acidic character of sulfuric acid. This whole phenomena. Obviously, in P block, maximum topics are most repeated questions, and therefore every topic I am marking them as important one. In one of the points just now we have discussed that concentrated H2SO4 act as a strong dehydrating agent. That means it will remove the water molecule whenever it comes in contact with even a single drop of water. Now many wet gases can be dried by passing them through sulfuric acid, but provided the gases should not react with the acid. Sulfuric acid removes water even from organic compounds. Now how can we prove? If we put concentrated sulfuric acid on sugar, then it gets charred to carbon. We call this as charring action of sugar. And this reaction proves the strong dehydrating nature of sulfuric acid. One more point we have seen that sulfuric acid acts as a strong oxidizing agent. Actually, hot concentrated sulfuric acid is a moderately strong oxidizing agent. It is intermediate between phosphoric acid and nitric acid. Here are certain examples. Like when copper is treated with sulfuric acid, we get copper sulfate, sulfur dioxide and water. Copper is in zero oxidation state and it gets oxidized to +2. If you remember the conversion of oxidation states, it will be very easy to remember the products. Second reaction, sulfur when treated with sulfuric acid gives SO2 and water. In all these cases is concentrated sulfuric acid. Okay, so here sulfur is in zero oxidation state and in sulfur dioxide, sulfur is in +4 oxidation state. So oxidation is occurring. Third reaction, carbon which is in zero oxidation state gets oxidized to carbon dioxide by concentrated H2SO4 where carbon's oxidation number increases to +4. Along with that 2 SO2 and 2 water is also obtained. Sulfuric acid, as I have told you just now, it is called as the king of chemicals. Sulfuric acid is very important industrial chemical. Actually, a nation's industrial strength can be judged by the quantity of sulfuric acid it is producing and consuming. So it is needed for manufacture of hundreds of other compounds. Like it is used in the manufacture of many compounds such as fertilizers. It is used in petroleum refining. It is used in the manufacture of pigments, paints, dye surfs. It is used in detergent industry, metallurgical applications like cleaning the metal before enameling, electroplating, galvanizing. It is used in storage batteries. The batteries used in automobiles, they have H2SO4 filled in it. And obviously it is used as a laboratory reagent. So in today's video, we have discussed sulfur and its compounds like sulfur dioxide and H2SO4. That's all for the day. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.